About a week ago, I was with this guy that I had met online. Now that has nothing to do with this story. I just think context is important. He's here with me now anyway. And before you ask, no, we're not going out. But I assure you that it was great. I wouldn't forget, especially since we just did it again. I don't think we're compatible outside of the bedroom though, so we're not dating. Anyway, a week ago, Jerry and I were cleaning up after our first hookup when someone knocked at the door. Jerry looked at me, panicked for a second before he remembered that we were both adults. "Are you expecting anyone?" he asked. At this time of night, no. We stared at each other until the knocks came back. When they did, it sent us scrambling for clothes. I couldn't find anything for some reason, and neither could he. But the knocking was becoming faster and louder, so I yelled, "Give me a minute." The knocks were incessant, almost like a pounding in my ears. It was at that point disturbing. I looked at Jerry again, and he shrugged. He looked just as worried and confused as I felt. The knocking became a banging, like someone was throwing their whole body into my door, like they were trying to break in. I grabbed a pillow and scurried over. The moment that I stood in front of it, the knocking stopped. I was shivering, less from the cold and more from the fear. When I looked through the people, I saw dark blue. Nothing else but just the color blue. I glanced at Jerry. He was standing next to me, and he had his own pillow. "Who is it?" he whispered. I shrugged. "I don't know. I just see blue." Jerry frowned and took a look for himself. "Huh, weird. Should I answer it?" I asked worriedly. "I don't know." "Miss D'Amelia," someone said through the door, startling both of us into dropping our pillows. We quickly picked them up and looked at each other again. I took a deep breath and I tried to steady my hands. With my pillow strategically placed in front of me, I answered the door. I made sure not to open it too much because it swings inwards and I didn't want to crush Jerry, who was hiding behind it. I was faced with a wall of blue satin. Cheerfully, I peered up and saw an unusually tall man towering over me. He was decked out in this dark blue suit, complete with blue shoes, a blue tie, and a blue belt. He wore a blue top hat, and he had dark blue eyes. When he looked down at me, I felt a shiver run through my spine. Again, definitely not from being cold. "Hello, D'Amelia," he said. He briefly looked at my pillow. His unnerving smile never faltered. I had no idea how he knew my name. "Who are you?" "Someone who cares." He was still smiling, that god-awful smile. "I have a proposition for you." I'm not interested in buying anything," I stuttered. I was deeply unsettled by his presence. I wanted to slam the door shut and run to my room. But there was something inside me, like a magnet, drawing me to him. Not in a sexual way. It's hard to explain. But it was sort of like I somehow felt that he would do me no harm, despite the intimidating appearance. "I think you would like this, D'Amelia." He reached into his pocket and I froze. I honestly thought to God that it was a gun. What he pulled out instead was a small white circle. A pill. I stared at it. Without even realizing, I had held out my hand as if to snatch it right from him. I felt this unexplainable feeling that I would do whatever it took to steal the pill from him. "Don't worry," he assured me. "This is for you. Here, take it." And I took it. "Thanks," I mumbled. "That pill is made especially for you. It condenses all the pain you'll ever experience in your life from here until the end, including your death, into 1 second. A death, by the way, that I wouldn't want to feel if I were you." "1 second?" I asked, dazed. He held up his finger. 1. No more, no less. I was at a complete loss for words. I had to remind myself to clutch my pillow as it began to slip. "D'Amelia," he said. "Don't wonder why. Don't wonder about my identity. Don't ask those silly questions. Only ask yourself, do I want to shorten a life's worth of pain into 1 little second?" My eyes had been glued to the pill the entire time. I only vaguely registered what he had said. "Now, if you'll excuse me, Miss D'Amelia." Rather than walk away, he reached past me for the doorknob and pulled the door closed. I stood there for a solid minute as Jerry checked through the peephole. "He's gone. What the heck?" Jerry shook me out of my daze. "What in the world was that all about?" I have no clue. I really didn't. Now we were just left with this pill, given to me by a man who knew me even though I had never met him. We wondered about it all night, until Jerry finally decided that he should head home. I sat alone with the pill in my hands a while longer, and then placed it on my nightstand and lied down. It was difficult at first, but I managed to fall asleep. Hours into the night, I woke up to screaming. They were quiet, as though outside and far away. There were these horrible, gut-wrenching cries of agony in the distance. Gradually, though, they became louder and louder, until they were right outside of my house. I heard knocking. I glanced at my pill immediately and wondered if the man had come to take it back. I felt a surge of panic, not because I was afraid of him, but because I was afraid he would take my pill away. The knocking progressively got louder and faster, and then became a fearsome banging until the door broke down. With the sound of the door falling, the screams and knocking stopped. In the silence, I could only hear my own breathing. I reached for my phone and quietly started to dial 911, but my fingers were trembling so bad that I could barely hold the phone straight. A single sound broke the silence. It was a small thud, a step almost, and then footsteps running up the stairs to my bedroom. I gasped and I looked up, my eyes glued to the door. I couldn't help it. I was waiting so badly to see what was running towards me. I felt that I could see someone in the dark just outside of my room. They were staring in, watching me. I could feel their gaze as if it were physically touching me. And that's how I knew when they were eyeing my pill, when their eyes shifted to my nightstand. I became defensive. I reached over, and the figure ran towards me in that moment, so close that I could see the look on its face when I grasped the pill in my hand. I don't know why, but I stared menacingly into its big, gaping eyes. It finally broke eye contact and backed away to the door. It stared at me a second longer before taking off down the stairs. Looking back now, I know the expression on its face was that of disappointment. I pocketed the pill and investigated my front door. It wasn't knocked down or damaged in any way. It stood right where it was supposed to be. Shortly after, I contacted Jerry online and told him to meet up with me when he could. I figured he was the only one who would believe me. 3 days later, we met up at a cafe and I told him about the things that had been trying to take the pill away from me. Me was skeptical. Despite having been there the night the blue man had visited, I convinced him to sleep over. He would see and he would have no other option but to believe me. That night, Jerry slept over. We were in the same bed, so before you ask, well, yes, we did it. Or we tried to. We were just getting started when Jerry caught sight of something in the window. He panicked and pointed. I looked over and, sure enough, there is a figure staring in at us. "We're on the second floor. What the heck?" Jerry cried out. This one had absolutely no semblance to a human being. It was a nebulous shadow, with 2 piercing green eyes and a long hand that caressed the glass. It ducked out of sight. Jerry cursed to himself. "The pill!" I blurted out. "The pill, Jerry! Where's the dang pill?" I don't know. What was that thing?" "It was in my pants, Jerry. Where did you throw my pants?" "Jesus Christ, I don't know. A wild rattling overtook the first floor, and I heard things being broken and dropped. The stairs creaked with rapid steps. More than 2 feet. It had to be something with many limbs. I began to sob as I searched for my pants. "God dang it, Jerry!" I screeched. A shadow with almost 10 legs crawled into my room and began to rummage through my things. "Here, crap, they're here!" Jerry grabbed my pants from the intruder and shoved them towards me. I fished the pill out from the pockets and I held it tight to my palm. The pair of green eyes stared at me. They were angry. It was a fury that you could never find on a human face. It scuttled off. Jerry has stayed over since then. We don't know what to do exactly. I explained to him the strong, protective ownership that I felt over this pill. It was mine. I couldn't give it to anyone. That much I know. I know it in the pit of my stomach. It's my pain in there. My entire life's suffering inside. I get this horrible feeling when I think about losing it. This morning, Jerry and I talked about it. We talk about it almost all the time. What else could we possibly talk about with this issue looming over us? I told Jerry my thoughts. It's a really good offer. The one the blue man gave me. All the pain over the course of your life done away within 1 second. I think this is an opportunity to get it all over with. But I also wonder if it's some cruel prank where that 1 second of immeasurable pain kills me. Jerry says that if I live, it would cause irreparable damage anyway. Trauma, mental illness, PTSD. But that is a type of pain in and of itself. So wouldn't it just be included in that 1 second? I don't know. All I know is that I can't give it to anyone else. Ever. I need to protect it. It's only been a week, but my mind is consumed by thoughts of taking that pill. As of right now, I don't know whether I'll ever take it or not though. I wrote this hoping to find if anyone else had been visited by the Blue Man. There's unsurprisingly no information on this anywhere online. I thought I might as well ask. Do any of you have this pill? Or know about the Blue Man and the shadows? Have you taken the pill?